TLDR, I escaped a man who broke into my house who had been stalking me for months. In 2014, I moved to England from Canada to gain work and travel experience, and also to find myself. I ended up living in Essex with 3 other roommates. They were all women, all a bit older than me. I'm going to use fake names for privacy reasons. I was 24 at the time, Megan was 31, Cherry was 35, and Casey was 38. Megan was from New York, Cherry from New Jersey, and Casey from Poland. All 4 of us shared this 3-story flat. The back of our home was the living room and kitchen. The back wall was completely glass that looked out into the garden, and the garden was completely fenced in. The house had an interesting dynamic, to say the least. Tons of stories from that time in my life. I adored all my roommates except for Cherry. After living with Cherry for 9 months, I was over her antics. One day, I came home from work. I locked the door, make myself something to eat, and go up to my bed. I brought some work home with me, so I am in my nightie with all these papers around me and my headphones on, jamming out. I had headphones on because Cherry was out to dinner with work friends. That meant booze, and then soon after that a tantrum was surely to come. I just didn't want to have to listen to her crazy scream crying. I was working away, completely focused until I felt something. I looked up to see a man standing over me. I don't register it right away and passively say, "Cherry's room is on the 2nd floor," and continue to work. Cherry regularly brought strange men home. He doesn't leave. Again, "Cherry's room is downstairs, you..." Then he interrupts. "I'm not here for Cherry." A cold ice chilled my veins. My flight or fight kicking in just then. I started surveying this situation. I looked him up and down. He had a bottle of prosciutto in one hand and a knife in the other. He is about 5'10", with wild muddy brown hair and black eyes. He has a light blue polo shirt on, and one side of his collar is popped up, and a distinct Manchester accent. Once I focused in, I realized his eyes were black because his pupils were completely dilated. Shit, I was in trouble. I needed an escape plan. Unfortunately, this man was standing in between me and my bedroom door. I needed to get downstairs, but I needed for him to think it was his idea. I decided to play along. Just then, he uses his knife to pop the cork, prosciutto starting flowing onto my carpet. I said, "Oh no, let's clean that up. I prefer to drink out of a proper fluke anyway." He nodded, replying, "Yeah, you're a proper classy bird. Let's go." I try to act as normal as possible. I try not to show that I am shaking all over, and try to gain control over my breathing. We take the long journey down to the main floor in my flat, all 3 floors. He has the back of my nightie bunched up in one hand, and I could feel the point of the knife grazing my back with the other. I was trying to playfully speak with him as we walked down the stairs. I couldn't tell you what I was saying. I was most likely rambling. I couldn't hear anything over my heartbeat beating in my ears. We get to the bottom of the stairs, and there's a hall to my left that leads to the front door. On my right, which is much closer to us, the kitchen and living room. We make our way into the kitchen. I point to the cabinets that had the wine glasses. He said he knew where they were and starts towards them. I now had the kitchen table in between us. It was time to run. I burst into the sprint down the hall towards the door. My hands fumbled over the locks, shaking and sweating. I swing open the door and see 2 men walking across the street. They must have been walking home from the train. There was a big train station in front of our home. I called out for them for help, and suddenly I am flung to the ground. Little pebbles piercing my skin sent sharp pains where they jabbed. The intruder pushed me out of the way to run and escape. One of the men chased after the intruder while the other said for me to go inside while he surveyed my house and to call the police. I locked the door and I called the police. While I am on the phone with dispatch, I manically run around the house to double-check all the windows and doors. Suddenly, I hear a loud bang on my door. I inform the dispatch of the banging and she informs me that the police aren't there yet. I thought it might be one of the gentlemen who helped me. I go to look out the eye hole and it's him, the intruder. He came back. He's banging on my door screaming that I had his glasses and that he was not done with me. I absolutely freaked out. The dispatcher attempts to calm me down, but I am losing my ever-loving mind. She then said, "They are pulling onto your street now. You should hear their sirens." I did. Thank God. The intruder then blasts off, one of the officers jumping out of his passenger side while the car is still moving and chases around him. The second officer comes into my house, interviews me and the two gentlemen, collects evidence, takes photos. After some time of him being there with Cherry comes home and freaks out. Once the situation was explained to her, she said, "Oh my God, that could have been me." Yeah, thanks, Cherry. It's all about you. The next morning, I am called in to identify a man who they had in custody. I pointed him out. I go into a little room and the officer pulls out an evidence bag. He asked me if the items were mine. They were. There were my underwear and photos taken from my house. The officer informed me that the intruder had been stalking me for some time now. He estimates 3 months. He had made a nest outside of our home on top of a hill that overlooked our living room and kitchen. He's a known sex offender and drug dealer. They told me how lucky I was to get out practically unharmed. Others weren't so lucky. To the man who stalked me and broke into my house, let's not meet again. However, I would love to run into those two gentlemen again. Every day I am thankful for them.